What is going on, y'all? Welcome to Joel Friday TV. I am Joel Friday. Welcome to the show. A few announcements before we get started. Hit that like button, smack it. Latest SmackDown, like, subscribe, and share button. Tell your peoples about the show so we get the subscribers up and a message out. Do it now. Help a brother out. As you guys know, we are live Monday through Thursday at 11 a.m. Pacific time on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, and Punchy.tv. And at any point during the show, you can call in by calling 888-775-3773, 888-775-3773, and we can get into that stuff. You know what I mean? We got some stuff we're going to get into today, but if for whatever reason you can't call in, but you still have a question or comment, or you want to support the show, you can go to buymeacoffee.com/JoelFridayTV, or go directly to the YouTube live chat, hit the super chat button there, send your question or comments in, and I'll read them live on air. You know what I mean? We'll have some fun. Right on. Amazing stuff. Listen, what's today? Today's Monday. Grace and Mercy Mondays. What does that mean? That means that we getting into that word. Not really the word, but it's more so like themed around like a nice little Christian message. That's what Mondays usually is. It's usually like just this Christian type of message. You know what I mean? That's what we kind of circle Mondays around, that good gospel. And I like to get in that kind of stuff on Mondays. And I have some stuff I want to give you guys here as well that I found interesting and kind of give you my take on Christianity, right? Because there's a few different type of Christians. There's a few different type of Christians, and we're going to get into that. Linian Chin with the super chat out the gate says, the prance report, twinkle toe. Now that Joel is enslaved to a Mexican maiden, he can run up all the little hills. He can't run up the little hill no more. She that same lady? You caught her? Nice. Lynn is referring to my announcement that I made. And if you missed it, you got to go back and watch. Good stuff. But shout out, Lynn. Appreciate it. Let's get into it, though. I'll get back to the super chats more later, and maybe as they come in during the show. One thing I want to make sure that I do really quick. So there is different types of Christians. I want to get into that. Before we do, a little news story really quick, briefly. This is from The Blaze. President Trump and his common sense revolution may be precisely what patriotic Americans have longed for and what America has long needed. Because common sense is the key to understanding Americans' original design at every level, America was long known as the common sense nation. Now, President Trump and his common sense revolution might succeed in making America the common nation it has always been, and once again. Very true. I think that's a great way to put it. I definitely see that Donald Trump is a man of common sense. And common sense is just really understanding and knowing the essentials, right? What is true at its core, right? Not all these spiritual, not every single spiritual wisdom that someone like Jesus once possessed, but just knowing core values and just being a real person. You know what I mean? That's how I see Donald Trump. we had a guest on Punchy, I think about a month ago, Jake Julius, and he was talking about how he views Donald Trump. We had asked him, and he said that he views him as a capitalist, a pragmatist, meaning like he's practical, very practical. And then Nick, American Anchor Baby, had asked Jake, how far low is Christian? And Jake said pretty low on the poll of what Donald Trump represents. And I almost kind of agree. I wouldn't say it's very low, but I almost kind of agree that Christianity is not like the top of the list for Donald Trump. And I don't think it's a bad thing either, though. But I wouldn't say that he can go up in a church and give a good word. That's what I mean, right? I wouldn't say that he can go up there and just speak on just biblical wisdom, right? But he's a very practical, real, down-to-earth, common sense kind of guy. And those type of people tend to be solid, right? And that's what Donald Trump is. But I wouldn't necessarily call him the most committed Christian. You know? And a lot of people, a lot of conservatives and a lot of people want to paint Donald Trump as that. And I don't think that we have to. You know, I think we could just call him just a real guy. We could just, see him, recognize that he's trying to do the right thing, recognize that he is very common sense oriented, and let it be what it is, right? Because you got to think of what that would cost. Imagine having a real deal, well, not real deal, but more so like a committed Christian in the White House right now. I don't think that it would work. I don't think it's the time for that yet. And I think that Donald Trump, who he is and where he is in his life, is what the country needs right now. And he can appeal to all people, really. So, yeah, I wouldn't necessarily call him this big Christian, but I do believe he is a Christian, though. And we're going to get more into that. Lizo with the super chat said, "Hi, Joel. Please tell Derek I said hi. Shout out Haken and AB. We love you, Joel. Appreciate that, Lizo. Love you back. And I'll let Derek and Hake and everybody know you said hi." Amazing stuff. Thank you, Lizo. But let's get into it, okay? Because I think that there's different type of Christians, right? I think that there's different type of Christians. And then callers, I will get to you in a second. There are some lines open, so if you want to get in there now. So let me get into it. So I think there's different type of Christians. I think that there's a casual Christian, there's cultural Christians, and there's committed Christians. And I kind of want to break down what I believe each of those things mean to me, right? If it makes sense to you, right on. If not, call in and disagree. We can get into it. But a casual Christian, I believe are like people who believe in God, but don't really know like God, right? They believe that God, might exist, right? And they can't like bank on it that he's real, right? But they have like a belief. They more believe than don't that he exists, but they don't really know him, right? And like casual Christian is like somebody who will like in emergencies, right? When you really need to call out to God, they call out to God then, right? When they really need God is when they speak to him, all right? Or when they call out. But they're more just casual about it. And they're also still attached to the world, right? So the casual Christians are like 1 foot in the world, 1 foot like wanting to believe, but not really sure, can't really stand on it, can't debate it, right? But they believe, you know what I mean? But they belong to the world still. And these type of Christians, the casual Christians, are probably the most harmless, right? Because they're not really on a side. They kind of just are living both worlds, kind of lukewarm. You know what I mean? Kind of like everything goes. Like I could talk. I'm with the world, but also I can talk to a Christian. You know, I can keep a conversation. That's kind of the casual Christians, but they're blind and they really are. I wouldn't say useless, but they're just kind of just casual, and you don't see too much fruit coming from, you know. And then there's the cultural Christians. These ones are very interesting. Cultural Christians. Cultural Christians are like ones that want to be better, but they don't really know themselves. So they identify with the word. They identify with Christianity. They identify with the Bible. And the Bible becomes their identity. Cultural Christians are very, very interesting people. And how do I know is because I was a cultural Christian as well, right? But it was a short phase for me because I started to realize I was a cultural Christian. But cultural Christians, they grow comfortable in identifying with the Bible. And what they do typically is they just live life based off of what they believe is right? So if the Bible says don't sin, right, then they operate in that place. So they try not to sin, or when they don't sin, they think that they're following the Bible, they're doing right, and then they look down on people who engage in these things, right? They identify with the Bible, or the rules of the Bible. When it says do this, don't do that, do this, don't do that, they identify with that, right? And they judge based off of that. And typically, they don't really know themselves, so they identify with this. And these type of people are the most influential, to be honest. The cultural Christians are the most influential. Why? Because to the average person, the person who is ignorant, doesn't know nothing, right? They look at the cultural Christians, and the cultural Christians appear as they have it together. They're able to appear a certain way. And because of that, the ignorant person gravitates towards that appearance. And it's like, oh, they must have it together because they talk like this, they act like this, they have that, right? The appearance is there. So they're the most influential because they can pass off to the ignorant person, right? So they actually are the ones who shift the culture, to be honest. Because I'm going to tell you why. It's because they appear righteous, but they also preach emotionally. This is why they're so influential, right? Because they appear as righteous, they look righteous, but they also preach the emotional thing, right? They're emotional, they're screaming, they're crying, they're acting out, they're putting on this show by way of emotions, right? And the world relates to that. It's very relatable, right? Because everybody at some point or it deals with emotions, right? So they really are the most impactful as of today is the cultural Christians, right? So that's what's interesting. And then there's the committed Christians, right? The committed Christians are the ones who know God and they know peace and they seek for more, right? And these type of Christians, the committed Christians are the ones that are the most hated because they're like they're the real deal, right? Because the committed Christians are the ones who, for one, are honest, right? They seek to overcome, right? They're honest with themselves. They're honest about their behavior. They're honest, right? They're not in denial. They don't hide. They're real about themselves, right? They look within. But the reason why the committed Christians are most hated is because the committed Christians have authority, right? They have an authority, right? And most people don't like authority. Most people in the world do not like authority, right? Because authority can feel intimidating. It can feel scary. It can feel like, who do you think you are, right? Right? And people get jealous of that. People are offended by that. But the thing about committed Christians is like they're very like they have like they shine, right? They have like they shine. You could tell when you see somebody who is really a Christian, right? You can see it, right? They shine. They have a light about them. They have like a charisma about them. They have like a approachable personality. They're very, relatable, but they're not pleasers, right? They don't live to please others because they do what's right. So people are attracted to them and people gravitate to them, but people don't stay around them, right? Or people turn on them. Reason why is because they're not into pleasing, they're into the right thing. People don't like that, right? They reject that because they feel offended by it, right? They don't like anybody they don't like to be dominated, right? And committed Christians are typically ones who aren't necessarily trying to be dominant, right? You're not trying to be dominant. You're not trying to be tough. You're not trying to be intimidating, but people just recognize that authority in you. They walk with a confidence, right? They're more grounded in themselves, right? So they just have this confidence. And people are afraid of it and don't know why. So they love it. They're attracted to it, right? They're influenced by it, but when they get close, it burns them, right? They get burnt because they can't handle what comes with that, right? They can't handle straight talk. They can't handle honesty. They can't handle not being pleased. So they run away. So that's why the committed Christians tend to be the most hated. And that's like what Jesus was. Joel just said Jalen Hurts face. But Jalen Hurts was the guy that was winking at the camera, like, for the ladies, like. No, I can't do it. Anyway, I'll come back to it. We'll get into the Jalen Hurts thing maybe later. But yeah, the committed Christians, yeah, they're the most hated. But the thing is, and I'm gonna get to the calls right now. You can call in. Is that about the committed Christians though too? Is that they like they're popular, right? But they don't have a lot of friends, right? They don't have a lot of people that they can trust, right? Because a lot of people don't understand and they're intimidated by it, right? So they're very like, yeah, they walk alone. But the thing about committed Christians that is to be respected is that like they know how to hear from God, right? They know how to hear God's voice, and they know where to get it. And because they know how to hear from it, they can speak to it, right? And it speaks back. They know how to recognize it, so they hear the message a lot clearer and more often. So they grow in wisdom, they grow in insight. But the more that they grow, the committed Christians, the less that people understand. So I think that what's important, though, is that the committed Christians learn how to be in the world, but not of it. Okay? In the world, but not of it. Because you don't want to be speaking Spanish all the time. What I mean by that is speaking a language that the world can't understand, right? Because that's off-putting. You want to be able to be relatable still. So I think that a committed Christian should also have elements of the cultural Christian. To where, like the cultural Christian, they're involved, right? They're emotional just like the world. They're in the world. They speak that language. But committed Christians should know the language. Right? You shouldn't be so much into your own little Christian bubble that when people listen to you speak, you sound too much. Why you choose Spanish? What the? But you want to be able to be a regular person. This is why I respect Donald Trump. Is I don't necessarily think that he's like I said, like the most committed of Christians, but he kind of walks the line of cultural and committed to me. Like I could tell that he seems to want to do the right thing, right? And to do the right thing. But also he is not so holy, right? And that's important because you don't want to be you want to know the times, right? The times we live in. And right now it's not necessary to be so holy, right? You want to be able to adapt a little bit. You want to stay true to the word, right? You want to stay true to God's message, and it's really, the love of God, but you want to also know the times you're in. So I think that people should really examine what type of Christian they are. What type of Christian are you? Right? What type of Christian are you? And I think it's good to know this so you know where to go and where you stand. Right? And you want to just be honest, You just want to be honest about it. You don't want to try to be afraid to admit that you're not where you need to be. You want to be honest about these things. Because we're all called to overcome, of course. But you want to be real about it. You don't want to be in denial about it. So what type of Christian is you? Tell me where you at. Amazing stuff. I'm gonna get to some calls right now. Lincoln Lewis said, "Are you doing the silent prayer, Joel?" Yes. Morning and night, silent prayer gets done. Right. I know a lot of people don't think the silent prayer is effective, and it very much is. You don't want to skip the silent prayer. So, and if you do, then good luck to you. No, I'm playing. Gwen's Realm says, using scripture, Jesus expressed himself, for example, what he said to the money changers about his house being a house of prayer to all nations. He left some people divided and some understood. Bible thumping. Gwen said this with the super chat, okay? Using scripture, Jesus expressed himself, for example, what he said to the money changers about his house being a house of prayer to all nations. He left some people divided and some understood. Bible thumping. I don't quite know what you mean, Gwaines. I don't quite know what you're getting at. Are you saying that Jesus, I don't understand. I appreciate the super chat, but I'm just not quite understanding what you mean by that. So, I don't know, type it in chat or something. But to me, I think that Jesus was not like, well, you got to remember too, Jesus at the time, in those days, it was a very biblical time. It was a very holy time. So culturally, it wasn't rap, it wasn't hip hop, it wasn't all these different things going on. No, culturally all around, even though a lot of people didn't follow the stuff, the culture was more around religious beliefs. Like they were very much accepted, whether they were followed correctly or not. But religion and, these things were what the culture consisted of. So Jesus came speaking as necessary to be understood. I don't think that he came there trying to be over holy, right? Because he used parables. And those parables are what help people understand the word better, right? Parables is basically scripture for dummies. Really what it is. But I like the parables, so I was a dummy that appreciated it. But that's really what the parables were to me. They're just like, it's like scripture for the dummies. Just like worldly ways to explain the truth of God for those who couldn't interpret it from within. But anyway, let me get to some calls. Let me go to Jaden out of California. Jaden, welcome to the show. You're on the air.
What's up, Joel?
How's it going, Jaden?
Bro.
My alpha bro.
Congrats on the marriage, bro.
Oh, thank you, man. I appreciate it. Thank you, man.
I really gotta agree with you here and I used to be the same way. I think I told you this before, just Bible thumping, preaching in public, and
yeah.
Nobody knows what you're talking about when you sound like that. When you go off on the Lord is nigh and the scriptures, that nobody knows even what you're saying.
Right.
And to extend your point, not even just when you're talking to atheists, you have to sort of speak their language. When you're speaking to Christians, I find myself recently, I've just been Jesse thumping Christians, and they don't know what I'm talking about. They don't know about stay present, nature of the mother. Right. They don't know any of that stuff. So I have to dumb it down to a basic Christian level, and then kind of omit parts because they don't understand it yet. You know what I mean?
That's a good point. You know, No, go ahead.
I don't go around it even teaching people that. If it comes up in a conversation, then I will sound like a Bible thumper. There's times to be Bible thumpers. You're right. When it's a conversation about that.
Right.
But in my everyday life, I just sound like a normal person.
And that's what's so important to me. That's what I think that is the right way to go, is just to be a regular person, right? I don't even think it's necessary that we hang on to all these, hang on so tightly to remembering these scriptures and word by word and all these different things. Let it just go in one ear and out the other. So when it's time to actually conversate it, then you're able to use the words that you use on a daily basis, opposed to, basing it off this Bible language, because like you said, it's very off-putting and it's very confusing, to
Right.
people who don't know this kind of stuff. So it's best, like, and I think you put it well, to try to tell somebody just at every time that they need to go forgive mama, because mama is who they identify. You got to be able to speak it normally and as it's needed, opposed to just regurgitating what you've heard.
Right. And just to, maybe if Christians in the chat don't like understand or something, or who are watching, like, imagine if this was ancient Greece and you took an ancient and you tried to speak like how how they were always having philosophical like debates back then.
Right.
If you try to speak like that now, people are going to be like, what the?
Yeah.
If you talk about nature, reality, and mind, like, what are you on about, bro?
Right.
But if you went back then, they would understand completely what you're talking about. And that's what I think you were trying to get at with Jesus.
Exactly.
Preaching. That was the culture. Everyone was preaching back then. They all understood it. So that's why he was able to do that, versus like today.
Exactly. And that's what's missing, is that people just got to just get out in the world. Just be regular, though, right? You just be normal, be regular. Don't take things too seriously. Experience life, learn things, try things, learn from mistakes. And that way, like, you're just kind of just growing all around, and not just like keeping yourself in this religious bubble.
And if you do want to go street preach, what I figured out was most effective was I would just have one-on-one conversations with someone. I would like walk up to them and just ask them like basic starter question, how you going? How's it doing?
Right.
I'm like, do you know where you're going to go when you die? Like stuff like that. And it's not too bad. And you're having just a one-on-one with them, so they can kind of like answer back, and you can, if you want to talk to them, they want to talk about it. But I had another point I wanted to get to, actually. Have you ever seen the movie The Truman Show?
Love that movie. One of the best.
Yeah. And so I was thinking the other day, I was pondering about how I was thinking about like transgenders, right?
Yeah.
And how to any normal person, and even to the liberals, I think it's obvious that this person is not what they say they are, right? Like they know they're lying to them.
Yeah.
I was like, why are they doing this? And then I remember the Truman Show, how everyone around him was lying to him his entire life. And what interests me the most is that everyone had their own different reasons of lying to him, right?
Yeah.
So some people were just trying to get paid, right? They were actors.
Oh yeah.
So that's like how today the pharmaceutical companies will make up studies about transgenders so they could sell pills. And then there's the people who genuinely like his girlfriend, right, that he had, the fake one.
Yeah.
Like, she genuinely liked that life. She liked the emotions that came from it, even if it was acting.
Yeah.
So she's like, hey, screw Truman's like freedom, right? Like, I'm going to get as many emotions as I can from this. And that's what I feel like most liberals are doing. And it like that Truman is like asking people through the movie to help him, and all of his friends, all of his family, or he thinks it's his friends and family, is just not. And that's like they're just lying to him to keep them fake emotions going.
Yeah.
And he's known him their entire life. And it's funny, the number one thing I got from that movie, when that chick tried to come in and tell him the truth, everyone like, no, go away. You're being like that. You're polluting him. You're crazy, right? Like, everyone tried to shush her away.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what I see when someone tells the truth in public, like Trump. Everyone, the whole media is trying to, no, he's a monster, don't listen to him, shush him away, right?
Yeah, that's a good point.
It's so crazy the parallels that this movie has, bro.
Yeah. No, that's such a good point, because, everybody has some type of like stake in the world, like, or for example, using Truman, right? Everyone has a stake in why they don't want the world to change or the truth to be revealed, right? They get some type of thrill from whatever it is, and they've built a home there. And if anybody tries to interrupt it, it becomes like this attack, right? And that's so true. It's like, yeah, everybody just wants to live this lie, and I did notice that too with on the Truman Show, is that, but you perfectly pointed out, is that everybody had their own reason why they wanted to keep the lie going, and it was never about Truman. It was never about being the right thing. It was just about they wanted their thrill and to keep it.
And the one person who did care about Truman, everyone in the world tells him that she's evil, that she's an evil person, right?
Yeah.
that's just insane. I never knew that movie was about like,
Yeah.
like actual spiritual stuff. It's crazy.
Yeah. No, that's one of the best movies, one of the greatest movies I've
Can
watched.
real quick, can I recommend a movie for you to watch that like is just totally awesome? I know there's like a no promotion rule, but it's like an old movie. It's not even like.
Okay, go ahead.
It's called The Peaceful Warrior, or just called Peaceful Warrior. It came out when I was born, actually, 2006.
Nice.
And
oh wait, how old are you, Jaden?
I'm 18.
Oh man, I forgot that you're a young guy.
Right.
Nice. You sound grown though. Well, go ahead.
When I first found Jesse, I prayed to God for like a way to understand this movie.
Yeah.
Or not, sorry, Jesse's message. And because I was just waking up, and then the moment I did, I was just going on this random movie site. I just typed in, I was looking for a different movie, and then I accidentally clicked down. I was like, you know what? Something just made me watch it. And bro, Peaceful Warrior. This movie is like if you took every one of Jesse's like teachings, and actually put it into a film with like plot, and the whole movie is just about being present. And but oh my goodness, it's like you know how the Bible, people take every scripture in the Bible as like wisdom. Yeah, dude, I could take any line of dialogue from this movie, and it's wisdom, bro. Like it's basically a second Bible, kind of, but not the Bible. But
nice, yeah. It's nice when you come across those type of things because it's rare that you hear a similar message. So I believe it. I'll have to check it out, and see for myself. But right on, man.
Where it's like everything Jesse talks about, besides like the race stuff.
Yeah.
It's insane.
Nice. And it's an older movie, so it makes sense too.
Yeah.
Right on. Well, I appreciate that, Jaden. Any last comments before I move on here?
Yeah, bro. Did you see the video I sent you on Instagram of that toxic masculinity?
Nah, I didn't check it out.
This chick was like teaching my man that his toxic masculinity is bad, and he was like crying and stuff.
Yeah.
I was like, don't become that, Joel. Don't get
whooped. Yeah, from being. I see.
Yep.
No, if you see signs,
alpha, bro.
That's right, Jaden. I appreciate it, man. Thank you, brother.
Have a good one.
All right, you too. I forgot Jaden's a young guy. Very smart, too. Very smart. Yeah, he's a young guy. Just turned 18. I forgot about that. But right on, Jaden. Always good talking to Jaden. Smart guy. But super chat here. Let me get to super chats. And I got a little comment I want to make. Hold on. Let me see. I thought it was Lin Yan Chin says, am I gonna have to super chat your child support funds? Don't break up with the Burrito Avenger. She's nice. Now the jokes are gonna be coming in. No, I rebuke. No child support funds, okay? I rebuke that, Lin Yan Chin. But I appreciate the super chat. I remember one day, Serge, shout out Serge. Serge is a frequent caller of the JFTV show, listener of Bond. And he said one time, Joel, I'm gonna beat you. I'm gonna get married before you. And I didn't say nothing. Because I wasn't necessarily interested in being super vocal about it. But he said, I'm gonna beat you. I think I got him. I think I beat him. It's like that guy that those two, when two boxers do the face off, the face to face at the weigh-in, And then the boxer that swings at the way in and does like a cheap shot, hits the guy. And the other guy is like, okay, that's cool. It's fine. It's fine. I'll see you in the ring. And when the time to go in the ring, the guy who got hit ends up being the one that wins. So, that's how that goes. And wifey is in chat. But I think some of you guys already know who that might be. I'm pretty sure you guys gotten a hit at this point. But interesting stuff. Nugget Man says, Joel before getting married, in quotes, marriage is of the devil. Joel after marriage, I am married. I beat you, beta. Not true. Okay, I never said marriage was of the devil. Okay, never happened. And that wasn't, marriage isn't a race, Joel. It was just a joke. Okay, that Serge and I, ongoing joke that Serge and I had going. So I was just talking about that. But I never said marriage was of the devil. What? And I also heard that people say that, because it's very true. Oh, JLP said in church, he was like, that everything that we've been taught growing up about things was a lie, right? And it's true because everybody is taught in the home from the beginning of time, go to school, right? Go to college. That's one new age type moral. Go to college to get an education. Get married, right? That's another thing. Go to church or all these different things, right? And those are just teachings, and then we just follow suit and we act those things out. And then oftentimes you get married to maybe the wrong person or whatever. And it was interesting because with me, yeah, I heard that all my life, but everybody in my household was not married. Everybody was single. Everybody was, not even in relationships. I had like 6 people in my household. Nobody was in a relationship. Nobody was married. And so I never seen marriage, and I never had a desire for it. I never was interested in it. I never seen it, didn't know. Like, I had an uncle that was married, and so I always seen that, but he was like distant. You know what I mean? So that's one thing I didn't have in my mind. As a matter of fact, when I found Jesse Lee Peterson, his network, he's the founder of Bond, for those who don't know. He's the founder of Bond and the founder of the network that I do my podcast on. When I first found his message, I looked and noticed that because I was looking for a pastor who wasn't married because I couldn't relate to the ones that were, right? And I looked to, when I found Jesse's message, the first thing I looked at was to see if he had a ring, and he didn't have a ring. I was like, oh, nice. An older guy who is not married, right? And I wanted to learn from somebody who navigated through life without being married, because I was under the impression that, you know what, I'm just not going to marry, and I'm okay with that. I'll be more committed to the word, to the God, to Jesus. And that's how I viewed Jesse when I first seen it. I was like, nice, somebody who's... But when I get to Bond, the very person who teaches me the most about marriage and about the order of God and the way it should go is Jesse, JLP. JLP's message. So to be honest, he's the one that really introduced me to what marriage is supposed to be. And that's when I started to be like, oh, shoot, I can kind of see that. And then one thing led to another. And now I'm here. But I think the point of not letting go of everything you've been taught of what you should do and shouldn't do is very true. Let it all go. You get married, cool. If not, you don't. It is not like a something that you're missing out on if you don't ever get it. Right? Like, oh shoot, you missed. It's not that deep. You know what I mean? But if you are to, it's also something to be appreciative of and grateful for, because there's a lot that I'm, learning that is nice that I never knew about this kind of stuff. I'm like, oh wow, that's cool. You know what I mean? And it's a great thing, and it can be a very great thing. But it shouldn't be taught in a home as that you gotta have it or to get to. No, just let people live, and wherever they go, whether they get married or don't get married, they could be just as peaceful, just as happy, just as satisfied. So that was a good little service from yesterday's church. Go to Bond, rebuildingman.com/church. Let me see. Y'all nosy. Anyway. Oh, shoot. Let me get to a couple more calls before I got to end here. One second. Let me just make sure I got everything. I have a few minutes left. I want to get to these calls. Kale says, did Jesse do the pastor stuff for the wedding? Golly, you guys want all these little details, huh? You guys want to know everything? Dang. Could a brother have a little bit of privacy? But to answer the question, yes, JLP did do the wedding for us. So shout out JLP. He officiated the wedding. He did. But it wasn't a wedding, but he officiated the thing. Let me go to Maryland, first-time caller out of Jacksonville, Florida. Maryland, welcome to the show. You're on the air.
Hi.
How's it going, Maryland?
It's great. How are you doing?
All is well. Thanks for asking.
Good. So my question was just basically, why aren't we all called gods? Like Jesus, quoted Psalms that God was our Father, and we are His children. That also makes us gods.
Right.
And we are co-heirs, with Christ. So, like, why do we teach such a hierarchy when, I don't know, I feel like in the kingdom of God, you never have to be disloyal to one to prove your loyalty to another. To require that of anyone is control and manipulation, which is the most basic form of witchcraft. Why are we having to have others above us or below us to be able to, have an order to things?
That's a good question, Marilyn. Where I'll say I agree, and I'll make the distinction. So I agree when you say where that we are all gods, because what most people don't tend to believe, which I believe, is that the spirit of God within us is who we truly are and our nature, right? And our true nature is a piece of God's nature. And so by default, by nature, that makes us of God origin, right? So that makes us of God. But there is an order to life that God has also created that we follow. So what that is God over Christ, Christ over man, man over woman, woman over children, right? And when that order is followed, I found in my life that things work properly. When people try to step outside of that order and try to be whatever is when the problems happen. So I think that there is an order that has been placed over us by God.
Right. I just, Philippians, to be Christ-like, you're supposed to put other people's needs above your own and look to their interest above yours. I feel like that is like a sort of a form of honor and praise and sort of a form of worship towards people as gods. If we are to all be that way, if we're all to look at people like that.
Well, you're making an interesting point that I'm out of time, so I can't really get to right now. Could you call me back tomorrow or sometime this week, and so we can soon, earlier than the end of the show, because I'm only on for an hour, and then we can really kind of get into this if you don't mind.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks for taking my call.
Thank you, Marilyn.
Thank you.
Hope to talk to you soon.
Have a good day.
You as well. I'm so out of time, y'all. I wasn't quite sure what Marilyn was getting at, and I don't have time to ask questions. But it's an interesting conversation to have. So, Marilyn, call me back. That wasn't a dodge, and it wasn't a diss. I really just out of time. American Anchor Baby is coming in right now. Make sure you guys get ready for his show. He is on Rumble. He is not on YouTube. So I have put the link here. Look, and I put the link. I put the link in the Punchy TV app, because there's too much stuff. But just go to AmericanAnchorBaby.com, Rumble.com/The American Anchor Baby, and you can catch his show live coming up right now. Rumble.com/The American Anchor Baby, and you can check out his show. It's not it's just American Anchor Baby, okay? Rumble.com/American Anchor Baby. Also at 2 p.m. today, make sure you guys watch the brand new episode of Punchy TV, which is a news show featuring myself and 2 other co-hosts, and we often have other guests that come on the show as well. And we got a brand new episode coming out today at 2 p.m. Pacific time in a couple hours here. Make sure you guys tune into that. We got it. Just mess. Talking about the Bible, talk about street preaching, talk about Jesus. We were debating there. Disagreements flying everywhere. So it was a good episode. Make sure you guys check that out. And I will see you back tomorrow for True Crime Tuesdays. We'll get into some stuff. Thank you guys. I appreciate the super chats, calls. Until next time, I got to go. Shout out the callers as well. Right on. Until next time, y'all, I'll see you on the flip. Bye.
Anytime you have situations happening in your life, always be still. Don't overreact. Most of the people that I know, they say, "Oh, I know Jesus. I love Jesus. I'm an observer." And as soon as something don't go their way, they get mad. I'm like, what the? If you overreact, folks, remember to do that. Don't overreact. And when you get mad, it's your problem. It ain't your wife's problem.